You are a bold and courageous person, afraid of nothing. High on a hilltop near your home, there stands a dilapidated old mansion. One dark and stormy night, a light appears in the topmost window in the tower of the old house. You decide to investigate, and you never return.
Othello, 328 Dick Street.
Of being taken by the insolent foe and sold to slavery, of my redemption thence, and portents in my travels history, wherein of antries vast and deserts idle, rough quarries, rocks, and hills, whose heads touch heaven, it was my interest. I'm sorry, I can't get the thing at all. Let's break for lunch.
Michael, come on, let's go. Come on.
All right,
Let's go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your obedient servant, Orson Welles, speaking. I'm interrupting here the making of one movie to speak these few words at the beginning of, well, what shall we call this? A short story. A short story straight from the haunted land of Ireland. Haunted, I say, because there's no place in the world so crowded with the raw material of tall tales. That's what this is, then, a tall tale. Purportedly, it happened to me. But I promise shortly to withdraw from the proceedings and to return to my own movie studio and my own movie, but not before taking this opportunity to apologize to the two ladies I passed so very abruptly one spooky Irish midnight not so long ago. I have to be in Ireland, still, I'm afraid, wearing the beard for Othello, to talk Othello business with Hilton. That's Mr. Hilton Edwards, who produced and directed the story that now follows. That night I'd been visiting the country, and I was driving back, and I saw, on that road to Dublin, a man tinkering with the motor of his car. I slowed up and asked if I could give him a lift.
You all right? Hey, need any help? Thanks very much, but it's no use, I'm afraid. I'll have to leave her here and send for her in the morning. Where are we exactly?
I'm a stranger here myself. You ought to know better than I do. I'm pretty close to Dublin. You live there?
Hey? Yes, I do.
You want a lift?
No, thanks.
It's pretty cold here out in the middle of the country. You sure?
I know, but thanks very much. I'd rather not.
Okay. Are you sure?
Well, I would be obliged if it's all the same to you.
All right, better come around this side. Sorry.
Just a moment.
What happened to your gun?
I had trouble with the distributor. I say, aren't you?
Yes, I am. I've had trouble with my distributor, too. I haven't been in Dublin much in the last few years. You're going to have to direct me. Where do you live?
I live in Bagot Street, not far from the bridge. I'll show you when we get there. Here, a cigarette.
Oh, thanks. Do me a favor, will you please, and put it in my mouth? I've got these gloves on.
There you are.
Thanks. It's a nice case.
Yes, isn't it? As a matter of fact, I had rather a strange experience. At that exact part of the road where you picked me up tonight.
Hold up.
Yes. Well, not exactly.
Tell me about it.
Well, I don't even think you believe me. Sometimes I hardly even believe it myself.
I was against a doubted experience. It must have been a good one.
I'm not the sort of person who imagines things.
Tell me what happened.
Well, it was about a year ago. I was driving back from the south.
Well, here's the story he told me. I don't ask you to believe it. I'll just tell it the way I heard it and let you judge for yourself. It seems he'd been driving along this same road. It was a nasty night, and the rain made it very difficult to see ahead. And then, just as he got near the crossroads, the same crossroads where I picked him up, he saw two women signaling him to stop.
Please forgive us stopping you,
Do you want a lift?
if it isn't taking you out of your way.
I'd be delighted. Where do you want me to drive you?
We live in Hill Park Avenue. The house is Glenascole. Is that very inconvenient?
Not at all. Practically on my way.
So good of you.
So he drove them home.
This is the house. I think the gate's open.
The house stood well back from the road.
I'm glad I was able to help. Good night.
Good night.
Why don't you ask him to come in?
Oh, would you care to come in and have a cup of tea or perhaps something stronger? It's a cold night.
Well, it's very nice of you, but I think I'd better be getting along home.
Are you sure?
Yeah, quite sure, thank you.
Just for a moment.
All right, then. Just for a moment.
The house was called Glenascole. That's Irish for Glen of the Shadows.
Would you care to leave your coat down here?
Yes, I will, thank you.
I built up the fire before we went out. We shall have the kettle boiling in no time. We always have a cup of tea before we go to bed. People say that it keeps you awake, but nothing keeps us awake, does it, dear? Now that the rain's over, it's going to be a lovely night. I do hope the fire's kept in. This is such a drafty house.
Chinese.
Oh, yes. It was a present. An old friend. He lived in the East for many years. He gave my daughter a lot of beautiful things. We haven't seen him for a long time now. Ah, here we are. That's good. The fire's kept in nicely.
Lamplight, how nice.
Oh, yes. Put the kettle on, dear. Sit by the fire. You must be cold.
Thank you, I will.
Would you prefer whiskey?
Yes, I would if I may. You smoke?
We don't smoke, thank you.
May I?
Please do.
Tea in a suburban home. Nothing out of the way about that.
Would you help
Yet as he
yourself?
sat there,
Thanks.
chatting
Yes,
with the
yes,
two
I will.
ladies, he felt that something, he
Water?
couldn't tell what, but something
Or seltzer?
was very definitely
Water.
out of the way.
May I look?
Yes, yes, of course. It's wonderful. Pre-war, isn't it?
Pre-war? I don't really know.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Hmm? Oh, that, yes. It was left me by an uncle, my father's brother. I've always liked to keep it. As a matter of fact, that's why I was interested in that tapestry on the stairs. My uncle went to China. In fact, he died there. That is a memento from the days that he lived in Dublin. You see, there's an inscription inside.
For P.J.M. from Lucy, Dublin, 1895.
Probably a present from an old flame. I think it was one of those love affairs that went wrong. Anyhow, he never married. And there's a quotation. I think it's from the Song of Solomon.
Until the daybreak and the shadows flee away.
1 o'clock.
Don't go.
I'm afraid I must.
Wouldn't you like another drink?
Thank you. Another time I'd be delighted.
Come and see us again when you're passing. The name is Campbell.
And mine's Merriman. Sean Merriman.
See Mr. Merriman to the door, dear. Glennis Cole House.
I'll not forget. Goodbye now, and many thanks.
Thank you.
You will come back?
Yes, I'd like to, if I may. Goodbye.
Well, after the good nights were said, and he'd driven not more than 100 yards from the gate, he realized he'd left his cigarette case behind on the mantel of the sitting room upstairs. First, he thought he'd call for it in the morning, but they couldn't be in bed already. They must still be up there drinking their tea. So he decided to go back right away. But when he got to the gates, he found them closed. Figured he must have been mistaken. They were closed, and they were so stiff he could hardly open. The drive was choked with brushwood and fallen branches. No No car could have driven down that road in months. It was amazing how much like the other house it looked. A few minutes ago, he'd been inside a place almost exactly like this one, sitting by the fire, drinking and smoking, talking. It was alive and warm. And this place was cold and dead. Well, there was nothing for it but to go away. No good standing all night alone in that weed-choked garden, staring at the dead windows of that empty house. There was a real estate agent's sign, apply daily in Comerford. That's what he'd do tomorrow.
Dennis Cole House. Here we are.
Thank you. How long has this house been vacant?
Oh, it's been unoccupied for years.
No, thank you. What I really want to know is, who lived there?
Let me see. Belonged to some ladies, mother and daughter. Just can't recollect the name at the moment. What it was.
Wouldn't be Campbell, would it?
Yes, that's right.
Was she, the daughter I mean, was she a delicate-looking girl with red hair?
I shouldn't exactly describe her as a girl. She was well over 60. Her mother was 80 if she was a day. She's been dead a long time now.
Oh, I see.
I don't know what happened to Miss Campbell. If you're interested, I can give you the name of the solicitors for whom we handle the property.
Thank you. I'll leave these back with you in the morning.
Oh, that's all right. Hope the place suits you. Hello.
It was the same place, no doubt of that. And by daylight, it looked more desolate than ever. He tried to tell himself again that he'd come back to the wrong address. But all the same.
I shouldn't exactly describe her as a girl. Her mother, 80, she was a day. She's been dead a long time now. You will come back.
this footprint. He looked at the floor where he was standing. They were the same.
It's beautiful, isn't it? Until the daybreak and the shadows flee away. Don't go. Don't go. Don't go. You will come back.
Well, that's the story. And here, if it interests you at all, is the cigarette case. Oh, I live just here, second lamppost on the right. I wrote to the solicitors that the agents told me about, and I learned that Mrs. Campbell died 10 years before. Her daughter lived only 2 years after. But this is the point. The daughter's name was Lucy.
Well, who's this PGM?
Patrick Joseph Merriman, my father's brother. Thanks for the lift. Would you like to come in and have a cup of tea or maybe something stronger? It's a cold night.
Oh, no, sir. Thank you very much. No, I'll just be getting along. Thank you.
Well, oh, disobliging. Did you see who that was? Yes. But I don't believe it.
Gentlemen, if you will step down this corridor, I will show you some of the newer paintings which have just arrived.
Really, Roderick, that's all I've heard about since I married you. The house looks like an art gallery now.
Come on, Belle. Let's see what the man has. Jason, you and Ella are with us?
Yes, Rod. Thanks to you, I know every art dealer in town personally.
Don't be so hard on the boy, Ella. Boy, he shops for paintings as you would for hats. Who knows? Someday he might find a lost Rembrandt.
Ah,
Ladies and gentlemen, here is the find of the century. The artist is an unknown Oliver Turnquist. It is called The Lake.
What is the price?
Its value has not yet been determined. It was part of an estate sale we purchased recently in Europe. I should say in the neighborhood of $10,000. Notice the clean strokes of the brush, the
Roderick, in the corner. Do you see that?
No. Where?
The picture of a knight on horseback.
What are you two whispering about?
Yes, I see it. May we see the painting of the horseman?
The horseman?
Yes, the old canvas in the corner.
Oh,
The one with the knight.
that one. That really is not for sale. It shouldn't even be out here.
Then why is it on display?
It was part of the estate sale I mentioned. A very sketchy background, a painter unknown. I intended to repack it.
Oh, Jason, he's trying to be mysterious to up the price.
Does it have a title?
Yes, the Midnight Horseman. Dates from the 13th century.
What an ideal wedding present for you and Jason, Ella. Ghastly. Besides, he hasn't asked me.
It is said that all Irishmen marry late in life. I'll get around to it, my dear, in time.
May I have a closer look?
I would prefer not to show this book.
Mr. Blum, we just want to look.
Very well. But I cannot be responsible. You bring this on yourself.
Don't let him stick you now, Roderick. That's an old gag.
Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. A portrait, one that should never have been painted. An old canvas, 700 some odd years. I ask you to examine it quickly and then allow me to put it away.
Oh, Roderick, it's terrifying. You're not going to buy that. I won't have it in the house.
I'm just looking at it, Belle.
Magnificent. A black-hooded knight with a silver lance, seated on a white horse by it.
It is supposed to have been posed by a knight about 1250 A.D. He was betrothed to the Princess Belinda when she was abducted and slain by a ruthless baron. Years afterward, he would search the inns by night in quest of the slayer. The legend grew. It was said centuries later that the flying hoofs of the midnight horseman could be heard searching the countryside for his beloved Belinda and the cruel baron.
An interesting story, but I don't see why you should be so upset by it.
You see, sir, the portrait's been in my possession about 10 days, and it's hard to explain, but it seems to be more than just a portrait. I am afraid of it.
Fine showmanship. That lad, Mr. Collins. He's just raised the price by at least 10,000.
Why, it's just awful. Sitting there with that black hood. He looks like a hangman. Roderick, I won't have it in the house, and that's final.
Good. I'll remove it from...
Mr. Blum, what do you think, Jason?
For some reason, I think the man is actually frightened by his superstitious ignorance. The painting is a masterpiece. Nothing else. Buy it if you can.
I'll give you 10,000.
Please, Mr. Linfield, you are a man of wealth, and I am but a poor dealer in the arts. Do not tempt me.
I've got to have that portrait. 12,000.
Don't do it, Roderick, for my sake.
15. My final bid. What do you say, Mr. Blum?
A hard bargain. Very well, if you must.
Good boy, Roderick. Good boy.
I do so with reluctance. They say that man makes his own hell. I hope you haven't just made your own.
Supper fit for a king, Belle. I'm going to hire that cook right out from under your pretty nose one of these days.
I'm glad you and Ella could stay, Jason.
Brinkley,
Yes, sir.
we'll take our drinks in the library.
Very well, sir.
You girls join us?
Oh, no, not with that picture in there, we won't.
Go ahead. We have plenty of girl talk to catch up on anyway, don't we, Belle?
Come on, Roderick. It seems we're not very popular with the fair sex at the moment.
Right, we'll see you later.
Ah, wonderful girls. Wonderful. I may just marry Ella one of these days.
Now, don't get carried away.
What happened to the heat? Do you feel a chill?
Since you mentioned it, yes. I'll have Brinkley check it out when he brings our drinks. Now, let's examine the prize.
Where did you put it?
It's already hung over the fireplace.
A magnificent find. Oh, you stole it at the price.
There he sits, a hooded knight in black armor, poised, waiting.
I see what the art dealer meant. Look, Roderick, at the lance he carries. I can almost understand Bloom's feeling that he's more than a portrait.
Yes. At any moment, you expect him to hurl the lance. There's something about it, Jason. Take the hood. Can't see his face, but his eyes seem to burn right through.
Yes. That proves my suspicions. Roderick, I think I know what's wrong with this portrait.
Shall I serve the drinks, sir?
Yes, Brinkley, bring them in. Brinkley, is there anything wrong with the heating system here in the library?
Oh, why, no, sir.
Then why is this room so cold?
Strange, sir. It became this way shortly after you returned from the city today.
I see. Thank you, Brinkley. That'll be all.
Yes, sir.
What do you make of that?
My boy, I'm going to spend the night by the portrait. I'll need my notes. They're in Ella's car. And your books on the occult.
Jason, you about ready to leave? We've taken up these people's whole day.
Ella, I'm not going with you tonight.
What?
Ella, dear, drive home like a good girl now. I'll see you tomorrow.
You're spending the night here?
I have a few notes to make.
Jason Van Horn, you're heading for trouble. I'm psychic, you know. There's something wrong with that portrait. I'm warning you to leave it alone.
Ella, will you go home?
Ella, will you go home? Who do you think you are anyway? Well, let me tell you, it's just as well I didn't marry you.
Take my notes out of the car before you leave. She's a spirited little devil, isn't she?
I think you should go with her and forget the whole thing.
Roderick, my boy, leave old Jason alone now. I promise you that by morning we'll have some news. We'll know exactly why they're all afraid of the Midnight Horseman.
Phone.
Who's that?
Hello?
It's the middle of the night. Who is it?
Hello?
Roderick?
Yes? Stella.
Oh.
You, want to talk to Belle?
Please, may I?
Yes, Mr. Mullen. You, Belle.
Ella, are you all right? What's wrong?
Is Jason still there?
I guess so. We left him down in the library after you left. Why?
Ye God, what's eating her?
Ella, is there anything wrong?
It's hard to explain. I get those feelings. I don't understand them myself, Belle. Jason's in trouble. Please ask Rod to look in on him.
Why, of course, dear. Now, don't you worry about a thing. I'm sure he's fine, but we'll check just to make certain.
Oh, thanks.
Go back to sleep, dear. I'll call you tomorrow.
Sure, thanks again. Good night.
Good night.
Now, what the devil was that all about?
Ella's worried about Jason. Maybe you'd better go down and see if he is all right.
What could happen in the library? He's probably asleep.
Rod, would you mind looking? I told her you would.
I think it's high time she married Jason. Getting more like an old maid every day.
Oh, Rod.
All right. I'll go down to humor both of you. Guess I'll have to agree. The picture is causing too much trouble. Maybe it had better go. Library door still closed. Not a sound from in there. Must be asleep. I'll knock quietly on the door.
Mr. Van Horn asked not to be disturbed, sir.
Brinkley, what are you doing up?
I have an upset stomach, sir. I went to the kitchen for a remedy.
Did you check on Mr. Van Horn?
No, sir. As I said, he asked not to be disturbed.
When did you retire?
About 11, sir.
To your knowledge, is he still in there?
Yes, sir. I have heard nothing since you left him last evening.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'd better have a look. Jason? 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 Are you in there?
Perhaps we should go in, sir.
Yes, Brinkley, perhaps we should.
Strange. There seems to be no heat in the library.
No light either. Don't turn it on yet. Although it shouldn't be off if it's working. Look around. Can you see him?
No, sir.
Something peculiar here. Jason.
The portrait. It's no longer over the fireplace.
Brinkley, by the hearth. The shadow.
Yes, I see it. It's sitting on the floor.
Does that look like Jason to you?
No, sir.
Quick, the light. We may be too late.
What? It's Mr. Van Horn, Sitting on the floor in front of the portrait. His eyes are open, sir. But he doesn't move. Is he dead, sir?
We'll see. Pulse is all right. No. Some kind of trance. Jason, snap out of it. Wake up.
Perhaps if we turn the portrait around, he seems to be staring at it.
Go ahead. Try it.
There, sir.
Yes. He's stirring.
What's the matter here?
Get us some brandy, Brinkley.
Yes, sir.
And remember, not a word of this to Mrs. Winfield.
I quite understand, sir.
Roderick, I thought I told you...
What time do you think it is?
Why, just a little after midnight. Now, what was that?
It's nearly 4:30, Jason.
I see. Thanks, Roderick.
You were staring at the portrait.
Apparently, among its accomplishments is a strong hypnotic power.
What did you find out?
No wonder Blum didn't want to sell. He also knew the truth.
Meaning?
My boy, this was painted by a medieval alchemist or a man with occult powers. An entire ritual is depicted in symbolism. I've copied it down on paper. See?
What does it add up to?
Just this. Give me a day to correct these figures. Tonight we'll perform an experiment that has waited through 7 centuries for fulfillment.
What are you talking about?
Roderick, lad, if I can duplicate this ritual faithfully, tonight, right here in the library, we may stand face to face with the real Midnight Horseman.
What's the time?
Nearly midnight. Everything is set. Portrait in a square, facing north. We've drawn a circle around us. Each holds a fresh tree branch. Exactly at midnight, we recite the word. This is a rare moment, Rod.
There's something unnatural about this, Jason. As if we were trying to play God.
The ritual wouldn't exist if it weren't meant to be used.
All I did was buy a portrait. Now look how it turned out.
If we're able to do this tonight, we'll go down in history as the first men to span 7 centuries.
You don't want to forget what that man is looking for.
Shh. Midnight. Here we go. Ready?
I don't like it at all.
Good. That'll add tension. That's good. Here are the words, lad. Let's say them slowly and clearly.
Absom,
Vada,
Geta,
Lum,
An,
Jectai, Som. Hear anything?
No, just the clock.
What went wrong? Let's see. Quick, drop your branch over the picture. I would forget that. Now the timing's off. Sit very still. It may work yet.
Jason, you believe in too many old wives' tales.
Shh. Don't scoff at things you don't understand. It should begin with the sound of a cold wind. Then we'll hear the hoofbeats of a horse approaching. Just be patient, Roderick.
It didn't work.
I can't understand what went wrong. I was so careful.
Well, that's that for tonight.
Wait. Do you hear it?
The wind.
He's coming. We've won.
No.
In a moment, he'll stand here as big as life.
No, stop it, Jason.
We did it, lad! We did it! You pulled the picture out of the square when we were so close. Why?
I couldn't go through with it. It's unholy, Jason. We shouldn't be doing this.
Lad, I'm disappointed in you. Now we'll have to pick another night. Start all over again.
I'm sorry, Jason. You can try again tomorrow if you like.
Busy then. Have to wait till the day after.
Okay, the day after.
All right, at least we are certain now. It's just a question of time until we meet the man in person in this very room.
Brinkley, there's no reason for you to remain up.
Yes, sir. It's quite cool in the library. Shall I bring you a coat?
No, thank you.
Mr. Van Horn did not come tonight.
That's right. It's nearly midnight, Brinkley. I don't want to be disturbed further.
Yes, sir. I quite understand, sir. Ring if you need me, sir.
Yes,
Good night.
good night. I wonder if I should try it by myself. Jason would be pretty disappointed if it worked, and he weren't here, though. Cold in this room. Jason thinks it's caused by some field of force around the picture. The portrait. There it hangs above the fireplace. A hooded knight. Like a hangman out of some distant nightmare. Bell's right. It is terrifying. Wait. Can't look away. I'm being hypnotized. Look. No. I did it. Jason was right. Don't stare at the horseman. Lord, it's uncanny. The time. 1:12. Should I try? Why not? Have to hurry, though. Take the picture down. Sit on the floor. Where's that tree branch? Oh, it's under the couch. There. Now, draw a square with it around the portrait. Okay. And circle around that. The picture faces north. Now, what did I forget? Something else. Oh, yes. Draw a big circle around the picture and me. Okay. She just made it. The words. Where are the words? Lost them. Oh, no. So close. Put them down. There must be somewhere. But where? Be too late in the moment. Must be recited at midnight. Ah, in my pocket. That's it. Here they are. Quick. Read the words. Absam Badha Betha Lum An Jektai Som. Next. Throw the branch on the portrait. There. The wind. I don't hear it. What did I do wrong? I didn't leave out a thing. Supposed to work. Might as well gather this stuff up and put it back, I guess. Wait. Wind. I did it. Hey. The room seems wavy. Eyes playing tricks on me. Horse. Sudden. Like a hole. Galloping hooves. He's coming. Midnight horseman. He's heading right for this room. Oh, the room is so wavy. Feel the force in the portrait. Should I stop him while I can? How do I know he won't kill? I can pull the picture out of the square and stop him. What should I do? Belle!
Rod! Oh, Rod, darling. Are you all right? Are you all right?
Belle, you spoiled the whole thing.
I was looking outside and I heard everything. Please, darling, stop this while you can. I'm so afraid.
I thought you were asleep. You weren't supposed to know anything about it.
Oh, what you're doing is evil.
But I haven't done a thing yet.
You can, and would if I hadn't stopped you.
Belle, I'm confused. I haven't seen a thing. All that's happened is the sound.
Oh, we're lucky that's all that happened.
I'm sorry, darling. Here, dry the tears.
Promise me, Rod. Promise me you won't try it again.
I can't.
Oh, you'll be sorry.
Make a deal with you. First, I want to see you smile, though.
No.
Yes, come on. A big one.
Oh, Rod. Hold me close.
That's better. Poor little girl. You were frightened. Make a deal with you.
Okay. What is it?
Tomorrow is Friday. Jason's coming over tomorrow night. We'll try once more. And this time, if it doesn't work, we'll quit.
What it does.
Are you game?
Oh, Rod.
I've got to find out. How about it?
I'm against it. But if you must, well, I want to be here with you.
Check. Just one more time, then. I've got to find out if the Midnight Horseman can be brought into being.
is this Eric Blum?
That's right.
I'm Miss Ella Case. It's about the portrait you sold Roderick Winfield.
It's quite late, miss.
They've read some kind of symbolism in it.
Hey, what? That's the reason I didn't want to sell it. Are you certain?
Some ritual I believe they perform at midnight.
Where?
At the Winfields. For all I know, they may try again tonight.
Good Lord, it's 11:30. What is your address, Miss Case?
246 Maple Drive.
Not a moment to lose. Pick you up in 10 minutes. If they bring that man back, I wouldn't give a nickel for their lives.
This is it, Bell and Rod. Nearly 12. This time we go all the way.
I'll let the servants off tonight so it won't be disturbed.
Good. Are you ready, Belle?
Yes. Get it over, Jason. And remember, this is the last time.
I promised it would be.
Take your places. When the clock strikes, throw your branches on the picture and recite the words. Come what may, we won't try to stop it.
Take it easy, Belle. Everything's going to be all right.
The branches, quick. The words now. We'll read them together. Absom, Bada, Yeta, Lum, An, Jektai, Sum. Shh. It should begin now. Listen. I wonder if it'll work again.
Takes time.
Listen. It's working! It's working!
Rod, you can still stop him.
Just the chance of a lifetime. Look, the room. Getting bleeding.
Be quiet. In a moment, a man centuries old will stand before us. Living, breathing.
Belle, you promised.
Stop him. It's our last chance. He'll kill us. You've got to stop him.
Too late, Belle. That horse is about to crash through those windows.
I'll pull a picture out myself.
Just like the portrait. Black armor. Black hood. Silver lance. The midnight horseman. My dreaming. What? He's pointing the lance at me.
Thou hast fulfilled the prophecy. Know ye, I have found the beloved Belinda.
He's taking Belle. No!
Thou knowest me well, Baron, without the hood.
He raised the hood. No! Not you!
Death to thee, Slayer!
Not the lance!
We're too late. They've done it.
Roderick has been killed. Oh, Roderick.
Broken windows. Yes, he's been here.
Look, the portrait. There's a change. The lance is missing. Good Lord. Buried in Roderick's heart.
No. There's only a bloody hole. But where are Jason and Bill?
The answer is in the portrait.
Let me see. There's a girl riding behind the horseman. Oh, Bill. It's Bill!
Yes. And the hood is now missing from the horseman. You can see his face.
It's Jason. Jason!
Mr. Evans.
Monday morning is never good. Anything important?
David Norlis on 3.
Hello, David. Been a while. How's the book coming?
Sanford, I've got to talk to you.
I know. You want to tell me it's only half written. We're going to have to delay our...
Half written, hell, I don't have a word on paper.
It's been almost a year.
I know how long it's been, Sanford. But I can't write it. I'm afraid to write it.
You're not making sense. We gave you a sizable advance to write a book debunking the supernatural, which was your idea, not ours. And now you tell me, a year later, you haven't even started it.
I'm into the book. Deep into it. But, it's on tapes. A series of tapes. When you hear them, you'll understand.
What will I understand?
How far I've gone. How dangerous this whole thing is. Sanford, I have to talk to you.
David, you sound very strange. You all right? David, are you all right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, what about the carnelian room for lunch tomorrow?
It's no good. I have to see you now.
Monday, Dave. You know what Monday's, all right? Why not tomorrow?
Tomorrow might be too late.
Do you wish to order now, sir?
No, just bring me a phone. That was a week ago. He never showed for lunch, never phoned to explain why, and I haven't been able to contact him since.
Sanford, you should be used to eccentric writers by now, and in my opinion, David Norlis is just a bit more eccentric than most. Well, I'll never get over this view.
There is something wrong. I wish you'd check this thing out. Find out where he is.
Sanford, I'm his lawyer, not his nursemaid.
Please.
All right, I'll look into it. But I still say you're making too much of a broken lunch date. Sanford. Sanford.
Oh, good. I was hoping I'd see you.
Yeah, glad I ran into you. Have you got time to catch the cable with me?
Where are you going?
I'm going up to the club.
All right, fine. We'll have a drink.
Good, yeah.
Been terribly worried.
I tried to phone you earlier.
Well, I was in a publisher's meeting. Tied up the whole bloody afternoon.
Sanford, I'm sorry. I didn't take you very seriously in the meeting the other day.
Well,
I just thought you were making much too much of it.
I hope you have something. What'd you find out?
Nobody knows where David is. Nobody's seen him. He's just gone.
Are you sure?
We checked every possible source. Everything conceivable.
It seems incredible.
David?
Notes for introduction. Today is Thursday, September 25th. And I might as well get started with this thing. Get the book rolling with what I've got so far. God knows it isn't taking the direction I assumed it would. This whole thing began when my natural writer's curiosity was aroused by an article I'd read in a weekly periodical. The article was concerned with the commercial aspects of spiritualism and the occult. My original idea was to expose the phonies who were bilking millions of dollars each year out of their gullible victims. To go after the fake mediums, phony astrologers, the self-proclaimed seers, and trick mystics. I was successful at this for some time. The floating face, which was a dummy's head on a wire, the ghost of a woman's son, who turned out to be the medium's own kid in a weird getup. The fortune teller whose life images in a crystal ball were supplied by a hidden film projector. But then I got into this business with Ellen Court. I'd better try to get this down exactly the way it happened. Ellen Stern's Court was recently widowed. Her late husband, James Raymond Court, was a successful sculptor from a well-to-do family. He worked from a studio on the grounds of his estate in Carmel. When he married, he brought Ellen there to live. The night before she came to see me, she had undergone a very bizarre and frightening experience. Shortly after midnight, she was awakened from a sound sleep by the barking of her dog, Raleigh.
What is it, Raleigh? What's the matter, boy? Somebody out there?
Show me what you want. Okay. Easy, easy, boy, easy.
following night, Mrs. Court came to see me. Actually, her sister, Marcia Stearns, an acquaintance of mine, had set up the meeting. Marcia knew about my work in the supernatural. When Ellen called her about the incident, Marcia had Ellen contact me.
And the police found only the body of my dog, Raleigh. His neck snapped, ribs broken. They analyzed the bloodstains on the floor, and they were his. All his.
Are you sure you hit the man when you fired the shotgun?
I'm telling you, I hit him.
Well, think about it. You were upset. You saw your dog killed. You could have missed.
I've handled guns before. He was right in front of me in my direct line of fire. The charges hit him, smashed him backward, and that's when I ran.
But when the police arrived, there wasn't a trace of him.
No, he was gone. And when I told them who it was, they wouldn't believe me. Now that's why I've come to you.
Well, Mrs. Court, why wouldn't the police believe you?
Because the man I shot was already dead. It was Jim. My dead husband, James Court.
Ellen Court seemed convinced that she had encountered the risen form of her recently entombed husband. I asked her to describe the circumstances surrounding Court's death.
Jim had been feeling very bad. We didn't know why, and our family doctor suggested that he undergo a series of tests at the Fraser Clinic. That's when we discovered he was suffering from a terminal disease of the brain called Pick's disease.
I've heard of it.
There's no cure, there was no treatment, and I don't know, Jim just seemed to change almost overnight. He was confined to a wheelchair, would no longer work. He even had me board up his studio. He wouldn't even talk about his work.
Was he at all involved with the supernatural?
Yes, he was. And it started just before his death.
Well, tell me about that.
I'd arranged an exhibit of Jim's sculptures at the Langdon Gallery. And he met a woman there named Madame Jekyll. She owns an antique shop here in San Francisco, and part of her business involves the occult.
In what way?
She deals with objects that are supposed to have occult powers. She even claims to cure the sick, and Jim believed her.
No doubt asked him for a lot of money, too.
No, she didn't. As far as I know, Jim never gave her a penny, not even for that ring.
What ring?
An Egyptian scarab. Something to do with the god Osiris.
Osiris is an Egyptian god involved with the doctrine of immortality.
Yes. The ring was part of an agreement he made with her.
You used the word agreement. What kind of agreement did they have?
I wish I could tell you. I can't. All I know is Jim accepted that ring in return for some kind of promise. He refused to discuss it.
Where's the ring now? Do you know where it is?
Yes. It's in his coffin.
His coffin?
Jim even specified that he was to be buried with that ring. That it be kept on his hand.
And his body is in the crypt in the grounds of the estate.
That's where his body should be. But after what I saw last night, I don't know anymore.
The next afternoon, I had lunch with Marcia, who was taking a flight to New York. She was quite worried about her sister.
But you know I'm not easy to panic. And when Ellen phoned me, I knew she was desperate. I suggested she talk to you. Actually, we haven't been close for over 3 years since she married that James Court.
Why, did you get along with Court?
No, I didn't. And when Ellen married him, it affected our relationship. We just haven't seen very much of each other. And now when she really needs me, I can't be here.
How long do you have to be in New York?
Well, only a few days. But I felt that we should talk before I left. It's important. If she says that she saw James alive, well, then somehow
Sure. If I didn't believe she was telling me the truth, as she knows it, I wouldn't be here.
I know, but it's just all so fantastic. I mean, how could such a thing be possible?
I don't know. But we're certainly going to try to find out. However, before I was able to contact Ellen again, Another bizarre incident occurred. That night in Carmel, a salesgirl was closing her shop for the day. Millie Parks, pretty, blonde, in her early 20s, was tired after a full day's work. She was anxious to close up, get into her car, and drive the 6 miles to her home, a small one-story beach house on the ocean near Big Sur.
If that other rig hadn't come along in the opposite direction and give me a blast, I might never have seen it.
It's unbelievable.
Sheriff, huh? I suppose you'll want to talk to me about it. No? All right.
Get a blanket over that fast. Hey, come here. I want to talk to you over here. Gene, Mike, get these spectators out of here. Come here. Is that the way you found her?
Yeah, but I ain't seen nobody ever look like that after no car crash, Sheriff. She was like
Never mind what she was. You just keep shut on that part of it. Anybody ask you, you just found her dead in the car.
Sheriff, nobody looked like that.
I just got through telling you I don't want any more talk about this at all. Now, is that clear?
Yeah, it's clear, but let me ask you something. How am I going to forget the color of that face?
Help him get on his way, will you, Charlie?
Let's go.
Charlie. I'm putting a lid on this one. Nobody talks to anybody about the condition of the deceased. Give me the mic. Sheriff Hartley, we have a 946. Let me talk to the coroner. You know where I am if you need me.
Oh, can't you ever be on time?
What are you looking so sour about? Well, what do you think? You know, every time I manage to steal an afternoon, up come the rain clouds.
Don't know what you're crying about. It doesn't look so bad to me.
Well, if I came from Chicago, it wouldn't look so bad to me either. Hey, what about the autopsy report?
I didn't get it yet. Oh, might be ready now. Why don't I call the office and find out?
What is
It's going to take a couple of minutes. Why don't you go get changed?
Oh.
You're not playing those.
Oh, you're funny. I'll meet you in the first tee. What'd you get, Sid?
Extraordinary case. I've never heard of anything like this in my life. Even when I was a lab assistant in Chicago, we never had a case
Chicago.
like this.
What about this girl?
The cause of death was strangulation. But from the depth of the indentation marks in her neck, it seems that the murderer must have possessed exceptional strength.
Okay, now, I know she was strangled. What I want to find out is what else was done to her.
All right, that's the extraordinary part. The sallow skin cast and the collapsed sac-like appearance of the body was a direct result of a total evacuation of all the main arteries.
Oh, Sid, I...
No, all right, I'll make it simple for you. The girl's body was totally drained of blood.
Look, I don't want the media to get a hold of this. That's all I need, a bunch of newspapermen crawling up my back. Now, I can see the headlines now. Vampire killer loose in Monterey. What can you do for me?
I'll do the best I can, but I can't guarantee anything. You know that I have to file a report. I cannot falsify the report.
Now, you know damn well I don't want you to do anything like that. All I want kept under wraps is the condition of the corpse, not the fact that she was murdered. Look, I gotta have time to work this thing out.
Okay, I understand. I'll try and keep it under wraps for you.
Okay. That's one favor I owe you.
From the looks of that one, I'm going to have to take 2 shots aside for...
Sid, now, you know the only people that give shots are doctors. Tee it up.
The morning I drove down from San Francisco, the weather was foul. A curtain of cold rain fell from a gunmetal gray sky. I'd set up a meeting with Sheriff Hartley in Carmel to discuss the Ellen Court situation. I didn't expect much cooperation from him, but it was worth a try, a way to begin. When I pulled up in front of Hartley's office, the sky had begun to clear and the sun was breaking through. I hoped it was a good omen.
Mr. Norlis, at the risk of seeming inhospitable, I just don't understand why any of this would interest a man who spends his time, well, chasing ghosts.
I'm sure you find this all very amusing, Sheriff. Mrs. Court swears her husband is alive. She asked me to help her. I agreed to.
What do you want from me?
Any information that ties in with the man she shot in her husband's studio.
Shot at. It's plain she missed him. Nobody can take a shotgun charge and keep walking. Look, she saw an intruder, she went panic. He could have been anybody, some bum looking to spend the night indoors. It gets cold out here in these woods at night. Now, I'll bet you that right now your ghost has hopped a freight and is halfway to Chicago. As for information, I don't have any to give.
What about that girl who was murdered in her car the other night? What's her name? Millie Parks?
Well, what about her?
Well, I stopped in town before I came here and heard a few people talking about it.
Well, it's like they say. Read all about it in your daily newspaper.
I have.
Somebody hid in the car, strangled her, the car hit a tree. Now, that's all there is to it.
Mm-hmm. Are you sure that's all there is to it?
Mr. Norlis, now, are you saying there's some connection between that dead girl and Mrs. Court's ghost?
I'm not saying anything. I'm just asking questions.
That's what I get paid for. And I'll handle it if it's all right with you, Mr. Norlis.
Sure, Sheriff. It's all right with me. Just seems that there are a lot of nervous people in town. I think they saw a lot more than they're willing to talk about.
Like I said, that's police business.
Okay. Thanks for the information.
Think maybe he's onto something?
Onto what? Now, there's a very simple explanation to this whole thing. All we've got to do is find it.
Well, I hope so, Tom. I sure hope so.
Oh.
As I headed for the Court estate along the 17-mile drive, Acres of lush cypress and tall pine loomed over me. The ocean below bellowed and roared, smashing into the coastline, spilling white foam along the sand. There's no doubt this rugged peninsula country could give the French Riviera tough competition. But on this afternoon, my mind really wasn't on the scenery. I kept thinking about the girl who had been murdered the night before, trying to tie what I knew about her into the story Ellen had told me. I had a gut hunch the two were connected. How, I didn't know. But I was going to have to try and find out.
Hello, Mrs. Court.
I really do appreciate your coming.
It's really a beautiful place.
It was, but it isn't anymore. Not for me. I let the servants go after Jim's death, and now I'm trying to sell the estate. Would you like some coffee?
Sure. So you mean to tell me you're out here all alone?
I had Mrs. Harrison with me until today. She'd been with the family for years, so I kept her on to look after the place, but that girl's murder frightened her. She turned in her notice this morning. Said she wouldn't stay this far out of town after dark.
Well, she makes sense. I think it'd be a good idea if you went back into town with me tonight and stayed at the inn.
Yeah, I guess maybe you're right. I didn't sleep a wink last night. Every time the house creaked, my skin crawled. Kept imagining I heard noises from the woods.
Think we could take a look at your husband's studio?
Sure, I'll get the keys.
Say the dog led you in this direction?
Yes, I practically had to run to keep up with him.
What time did he wake you up?
Just after midnight. There it is, over there. Jim loved this place. Used to be a barn before he converted it into a studio.
What the people in town tell me, your husband was something of a recluse.
Oh, I suppose that's true, but he liked being alone. After we were married, I had a studio set up in the main house, but he never used it. He'd always come out here to work. Called it his personal hideaway.
Is this from the dog?
Yes, all of it. He killed Raleigh as easily as you'd smash a fly, and he was a German Shepherd, a very powerful animal.
Now, you say you had to unlock the door to get in.
That's right.
The question is, how did he get inside? Is this the corner he came from?
Yes. He was standing right here. I'll never forget his eyes. They were horrible, wild, staring at me.
How long has it been since you've been out here?
I haven't been here since Jim died. Now you don't believe me, do you?
What do you believe?
I don't know. But I'm still confused about the ring. It must be worth a great deal of money.
Why do you say that?
Because Charles Langdon phoned me yesterday regarding the purchase of all the studio sculptures. When he mentioned the ring, I told him it wasn't for sale.
Well, what did he say?
He became quite upset, and that's when I hung up.
Well, maybe I should have a talk with Langdon. Look, while I'm in San Francisco, do me a favor. Find out all you can about that murder the other night. There's something about that girl's death they're trying to hide.
Well, then you think there's a connection between what happened to me and the Parks girl?
I don't know. That's what I want to find out. I'll call you tonight. May I be of some assistance? Yes, you might. You tell Mr. Langdon that David Norlis is here to see him. If you'll be so kind as to follow me. Mr. Langdon, a Mr. Norlis to see you.
May I help you?
David Norlis.
Oh, I know you. I enjoyed one of your books very much.
Really? Which one?
I have a terrible memory for titles. It dealt with undersea life, and I believe it was off the coast of Yugoslavia.
The Man Below.
Yes.
I'm glad you liked it.
I did.
You're the only one who read it.
Come. May I show you something here?
No, thank you. I would like to ask you some questions regarding your association with James Raymond Court.
Oh?
You see, I'm looking into his death.
Looking into?
Hmm?
In what capacity?
There's a private investigator working for Mrs. Court.
Well, I'd be glad to help Ellen, but, I mean, it seems a little bit on the bizarre side. There was nothing of a mysterious nature about James' death.
Well, you won't mind answering a few questions, will you?
Fire ahead.
How well did you know him?
Well, we were closely associated. You see, our gallery is the main outlet for James' work here in San Francisco for the past several years. I've placed a great number of his works with collectors, and I've arranged for a few special commissions, things of that sort.
Mm-hmm. Well, how much do you know about the occult, Mr. Langdon?
Very little, actually. Doesn't interest me at all.
That's interesting, because Mrs. Court was saying...
Could we talk upstairs?
Sure.
Please.
You see, I somehow got the impression that you were responsible for Mr. Court's fascination with the supernatural.
No, it was simply a manifestation of his disease.
You do know Madame Jekyll, don't you?
In a business sense. I frequently send people to her shop. She has excellent taste. Picks up some really splendid items from time to time.
See, I was told that he met her here in your gallery.
Yes. We had James' last exhibition. I introduced him, as a matter of fact, and frankly, I wish I hadn't. His obsession with the supernatural began with Madame Jekyll.
What about that ring he got from her? You know anything about that?
Apparently, it's from Egypt. It's very ancient. Known to collectors of antique jewelry as the Osiris scarab.
Valuable.
Well, its true value is difficult to determine. The beetle, as you know, is a symbol of immortality. And there are rumors that the Osiris scarab is a life ring, capable of granting restorative powers to its wearer.
You believe that?
Hardly. Myth and nonsense.
Why do you want the ring so badly?
Apparently, Ellen told you of my interest.
Obviously.
I deal in antique art and objects, Mr. Norris. This ring is such an object. It has a fascination for those of us who are connoisseurs. So certainly I should like to own the Osiris scarab.
Well, Mrs. Court told me that you demanded to know why the ring wasn't for sale.
Well, naturally, I was disappointed, and I vented my disappointment over the telephone. It was purely an emotion of the moment.
So she didn't tell you why she wouldn't sell the ring, or where it is?
No, she did not. You know where it is?
Mm-hmm. You see, Mr. Court's
Will declared that the ring should be buried with him. It's now on his finger in the family crypt.
How curious. How very curious.
Private agreement with Mr. Court. Now, it's no business of yours or anybody else's. I keep private business private.
Madam Jekyll, Mrs. Court thinks her husband is alive. As a matter of fact, she thinks she saw him.
In the studio?
Well, now, isn't that interesting? How did you know where she saw him?
Jim always loved being in the studio. And his presence might linger there.
Oh, come on, this was no presence. This was a real man, real enough to kill a dog and take a double shotgun blast in the chest.
Why are you telling me this? Look, this has nothing to do with me.
Well, I think it has a lot to do with you. And the ring you gave to Court. All part of a puzzle. And I thought you'd help me put the pieces together.
There's nothing I can say.
What about the studio? I think you know something about the studio, and it's linked with the ring.
Look, I'm gonna tell you something. You stay away from that place. Stay away from the whole Court estate.
Why?
It's the house of Sargoth.
Hello?
Helen, it's David. How are you?
Okay, but it sure is raining here.
Listen, I think I'm onto something. I saw Madame Jekyll. She wasn't too talkative, but she did make a slip in reference to James' studio. I think this whole thing ties into the studio. I'm going to be down there in about an hour. I'll pick you up at 11:30.
Well, where are we going?
Back to the studio. Now, you're familiar with it. I'm not. I wouldn't know what to look for, but I'm convinced something's there. Will you go with me?
I'll be ready.
Okay.
Midnight. I was worried. I thought something might have happened to you.
Storm slowed me down. I ran into a lot of heavy traffic.
What do you expect to find at the studio?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Did you find anything out about the Parks girl?
No, only that there seemed to be something strange about the body.
Like what?
Like she had no blood. They're over here.
I hate to put you through this. I'd rather have done it alone.
No, I'm glad I can help. Anyway, I was going stir crazy waiting back at the inn.
wish I knew what to look for.
Anything odd or abnormal. What's this?
I don't know. I've never seen it before.
I wasn't here the other day.
I know.
You sure he didn't start this just before he died?
No. This isn't his. It's not like his work. Look at the face.
And this clay.
What about it?
It's still damp. Someone's still working on this thing.
But that's impossible. How could that be?
Thank you.
Okay. Miss Court, Mr. Norris, you know it's 2 o'clock in the morning. You've been drinking.
Look, I'm not going to argue with you. I saw Court. He was as close to me as you are.
Another one of your ghosts?
A ghost doesn't rip off a car door. Take a look out the window.
He did that?
He did that.
Mrs. Court, are you all right? All right, let's go. Get him around in the back there, would you? All right, listen, check this over here. We're still trying to find a body. He says he hit one and we can't find it. Look out, get it over there. It seems to me that you must have just grazed him with a fence.
I'm telling you, I hit him head on.
Hey, Frank, Tim, search the main house. Rest of you, check the studio and all the grounds. You come with me.
Where?
I'm going to see if Mr. Cord is at home to friends. Come on with us. Let's go. Someone's taken the body. Did you hear what I said? That's all there is to it. Somebody's taken the body.
Look, Hartley, what more do you need?
Now you look, Mr. Norlis.
I just don't buy your zombie story. As far as I'm concerned, we got a prowler that looks like Mr. Court, who assaulted you people when you caught him doing his job.
This is Court's
now,
fault.
for his own reasons, he removed Mr. Court's body. Now, I'm still in the dark as to why. Maybe it's to follow up the disguise.
How do you explain the abnormal strength? Do you think I pulled the door off the car?
I don't try to explain anything. If I did, I would say that you snagged the open car door on the garage in your hurry to get out. Now, look, when people panic, they do funny things.
What are you going to do about all this?
Assuming that we don't find the prowler on the grounds, and I agree that's very unlikely, then I'll have the woods searched. In the meantime, it's late, and I'm tired. I'm going to take Mrs. Court back to town. You follow us. When you get there, you can sign a complaint. Let's give up on this wild goose chase.
Who is this?
It's David. You all right?
Oh, I suppose so. They gave me a sedative. What time is it?
It's afternoon. It's 2 o'clock.
Where are you?
I'm at home. I'm trying to reach Charles Langdon. Has he called you?
No. No one's called.
And that sheriff still won't believe me. Thinks we're both crazy.
Did you show him the sculpture we found?
No. I don't want anyone touching that thing until I can determine what it is, what it means. I'm having the clay analyzed right now.
Sheriff Hartley wants me to make a full statement at his office this afternoon. What should I tell him?
Tell him the truth. Just leave out the sculpture.
David, I'm still very frightened. He's out there, alive, and you and I know he's out there. Why won't the sheriff believe us? I mean, what's it going to take to make him believe us?
That night, Ellen's sister, Marcia, drove down from San Francisco. She had returned from her trip to New York earlier than expected. And unfortunately, when she tried to reach me, I was out. It was after midnight when she pulled into the deserted court estate. And when she found no one there, she was already too tired to make the half-hour drive to Carmel. And since another storm was building, Marcia decided to seek closer lodgings. By the time she'd arrived at the Orange Grove Motel, a small off-the-road scattering of faded cabins, the storm had broken, and the rain had begun to fall.
Papa, will you tell her we're closed? Papa, tell her it's closed.
Now look, lady, it's like I said. Oh, please, could I come in? It's so wet out here. I'm freezing to death.
Oh, come on in.
Thank you. Oh.
It's awfully late, but I could give you cabin number 9. It's our best one. New springs and mattress in there. Just a shower, no tub bath. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's fine, really.
I said we're closed. Can't turn the girl away, Mama. No harm in giving her 9.
Well, give her the key and hurry up about it and come to bed, Papa. Now.
Mama, she gets a little grouchy after midnight. I can handle her, though.
Well, I hope so. I don't want to cause you any trouble.
Oh, no trouble at all. Now, let's see. That will be $10. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Can I help you with your things?
No, thank you. I can manage.
Pleasant dreams.
going on in here?
No, I didn't get a good look at him. He just came wailing out, and he knocked me sideways, and he carried her off into the woods then.
I knew when she said Simmons, he was no good.
All right, now tell me what you did see. Was he tall? Was he short? Was he thin? Was he fat? What do you remember?
Tall and all wild in the eyes, and he wore dark clothes.
All right, now listen to me, Mr. Dobkins, Mrs. Dobkins, and listen very good. I'm going to take you downtown so that you can see some mugshots. Now, in the meantime, if word of what happened here gets around, this whole town's going to go into a panic. I don't want the newspapers to find out about it until I have a chance to find the girl. That means that you don't see anybody, you don't talk to anybody about what happened here. Do you understand that?
Oh, I won't say a word.
You understand that?
Oh, I do. I certainly do. Sheriff, there's just one thing I'd like to know.
Yeah?
What do I do if he comes back?
Ellen, I just wanted to call to tell you I'll be late getting back there tonight. Is your sister there?
Marcia, no, I thought she was still in New York.
No, she tried to call me, got my service, and left a message. Said she was driving down late last night.
I haven't seen her.
Well, maybe she changed her mind. Thank you. If she calls again, I'll tell her where you are. Now, look, I'm at the architectural firm who originally designed your place. I found out how Court got into the studio without unlocking the door. He came up from below. These blueprints I've been looking at show some very curious construction that went on back in the 20s. Seems the people who originally owned the place built a series of underground tunnels.
Why would anybody want to build tunnels?
Well, during Prohibition, they probably stored guns and liquor. The plans also show several entrances, one of which is in the crypt. Now, I found a connection between Court and the bloodless condition of the Parks girl. I think the sculpture is being done by Court. I think he needed the girl, needed to kill her.
But why?
For the clay in the sculpture. I just got the chemical analysis back. The clay is 40% human blood. Now, look, Ellen, stay put. I have a few more things to check on, and I'll be down as soon as I can. Okay?
I've got to talk to you.
Now, do you mind telling me why you have to see David Norlis?
I've got to break free. I've got to strike back at them. The powers of darkness. They've controlled me. Twisted me. And I've done their bidding. And listen. When I met your husband, the thing he most wanted in this world was that his crippled body be healed. And so, I told him about the Osiris scarab. I tried to convince him about its power over death, of a life beyond death, but that only by the use of his talent could it be purchased. And so we made a pact. After death, the ring would allow him the power to rise from his coffin to work on a figure of Sargoth. Once the sculpture's finished, it'll have a physical form in which to enter our world. And in return for bestowing life to Sargoth, Jim Court will be granted immortality. But we can stop him. That's why I came here. His powers take effect after sundown. If we can reach him by sunset, we can remove the ring from his finger.
Mr. Norlis, I have a message for you, sir.
Thank you. When did Mrs. Court leave?
15 or 20 minutes ago, I guess. She and the other lady, they left in a big hurry.
Yeah, how long before it gets dark here?
About a half hour, I guess.
The entrance has got to be here someplace. Over here, I think I found it. I'll go first.
Maybe we should wait.
We don't have time. We can't wait. This way.
How do we know which one to take?
We don't. You take that tunnel and I'll take this one.
What if I find his body?
Then you remove the ring. Let's go.
He's over here. I can't get it off.
He killed Marcia, and you killed too.
Come on, let's go.
Oh. I don't know why he let me go. I don't understand. But it's no use. Nothing's any use.
Can you get it open?
It's been moved.
It's almost finished.
Everything but the eyes.
We can't let him come to life.
Gotta let him finish.
Let me.
It's the only thing that can stop it.
What are you doing?
Making a blood circle. According to medieval alchemy, you can enter a blood circle, but if it's on fire, you can't get out.
What's that? Hurry.
I tried to explain it all to Sheriff Hartley, but he couldn't accept it. The next morning, they found the bones of a man in the ashes, the remains of James Raymond Court. And of the demon Sargoth, they found nothing, absolutely nothing.
Sargoth. Strange name. I wonder if he was truly destroyed.
Or could he be the key to David's disappearance? Well, maybe this will tell me.
Chapter 2, December 4th. It was a rainy afternoon when I received the letter.
Are you one of the frightened? Have you ever imagined someone was following you, caught a glimpse of a strange face in the crowd behind you, and then that face mysteriously seems to be with you wherever you go? Sylvester Dodge had just such an experience. Walk with me a bit, and I'll tell you about Sylvester and his man in the raincoat. Sylvester Dodge was a man like you or me. He worked as a bookkeeper in a Wall Street office, and for many years he was saving for the day when he could afford his trip to Europe, away from ledgers and bank balances and adding machines. Finally, the last week of daily toil approached, and anticipation thrilled his fat little body as he boarded the Lexington Avenue local. The big vacation loomed on his horizon as the reward of a dreary lifetime. It was then that Sylvester Dodge first noticed the man in the raincoat with the curiously shaped umbrella. Something about the man made Sylvester shudder. The man's face was a deathly white, and the hands surrounding the handle of the umbrella were like great claws. The flesh of the fingers were horribly gnarled and ghastly green. Sylvester could not bear to look at him, but even in turning away, he felt the eyes of the man boring into his back like twin beams of awful light. You know the feeling, don't you? Someone who's looking at you, staring at you, eyeing you with such a terrible concentration that you want to scream or cry out, "Stop! Stop!" When the train reached the station, Sylvester rushed from his car like a man released from prison. The man in the subway had shocked him, but then again, you do meet all kinds of people in New York, don't you? And so Sylvester Dodge began the 5-block walk to his office. The sun was out, April breezes caressed the stone buildings, and people hustled along with spring steps. But Sylvester had that curious feeling that I mentioned to you. Someone was following him. He felt eyes peering at his back, could feel somebody's interest and attention focused on his rounded body hurrying through the crowd. He found himself walking faster, faster. He stopped for a streetlight, panting for air. He turned. A deathly white face in the crowd bobbed like a Halloween skeleton, and vanished. Sylvester Dodge whirled and raced across the street, his coat ends flying. He stopped again, a block away from his office, and flung a backward look. There was the man in the raincoat, waving his claw-like hand in greeting, the umbrella dangling from the wrist. Something pounded in Dodge's skull, and desperately he raced the remaining block and fell against the building wall, gasping for breath. He turned slowly, fighting for his reason, but no, there was the man with the raincoat, a scant 10 yards away, coming towards him. The ghastly face was smiling, the umbrella was outstretched, almost as if it was seeking something. Sylvester Dodge pushed out from the wall and left the protection of the building. At that precise moment, the grand piano that was being hoisted to the office on the 4th floor swung awkwardly on its pulley, the rope snapped, and its great weight crashed to the sidewalk, pinning Sylvester Dodge to his death. So you see, poor Sylvester tried to run away from his fate and dodged in the wrong direction, all because he had the silly notion that someone was following him. Well, I'll leave you here, my friend. Huh? Well, you don't think my face is so awfully white, do you? Oh, I'm so sorry. I seem to have dropped my umbrella. Would you mind very much handing it to me?
Don't know why there's no sun up in the sky, stormy weather. Me and my gal went on together. It's raining all the time. Everything I do is wrong, stormy weather. Lord, bring us together. It's raining all the time. Well, since you went away, blues came in and met me. Don't come back to stay. Rocking chair will get me. All I do is pray. Lord above will let me walk in the sun once more. Check out everything I have is gone, stormy weather. Lord, bring us back together. It's raining all the time.